Alrighty. Quicksilver. Dark fae, bloodlust, dark romantasy. You've heard a lot about it. You've probably seen it on the shows before, and you have probably seen how YouTube absolutely either loves it or hates it. And today I decided I would read it. Well, actually last week I decided to read it, but it took me about a week to digest this freaking doorstop of a book. I mean, look at this, guys. This is 600 pages. And don't get me wrong, I really like a good, thick novel. But I like it when it is written well. And that is the biggest problem with Quicksilver. You'll notice on the ratings that overall the story got the highest marks, and it's only like, I think, a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Well, that's because there's a lot of promise there, but man, it is a slog of a book. I mean, I was ready to quit after about 25 pages. And I'm the type of person who, if there is a promise of something good, I will stick with it to the end. But this one, I won't lie, I was ready to just throttle the main character my own self and walk away, because clearly the rumors about this being a Kylo Ren, Rey Skywalker fanfic or whatever, it has some serious basis. Like, you start off in a desert city where she is stealing scrap metal to make not droids, but swords or whatever. And the girl, like an idiot, steals a guard's gauntlet to sell off, and everyone's like, girl, you are going to get us killed. And note, this is the highest score of the entire story. And I'm not going to worry about going through and doing all the plot lines and the backstory and this and that, because there are plenty of other YouTubers who are out there. And what I hope to do here is just to let you know if this book is even worth picking off the shelf. Now, I'll be fully honest. I got this from the library. And I am very grateful to my local library, because honestly it saved me between 15 and 22 bucks, which in this economy, that'll buy me like a gallon of milk. And y'all know how it is. But to give Callie Hart a little bit of credit, it is not actually a bad story. It is just, in my opinion, very poorly edited. I mean, guys, this is 600 pages to go across about 3 different separate worlds. They're not really worlds, but 3 completely separate spaces. Maybe even 4 if you want to get all technical about it. And I just really feel like this should have been 2 books. Because, like, you don't get hardly any time in Ceres's hometown. And you don't hardly get any time in the Fae court or whatever before you're just completely whisked away into the war-torn edges of the region. Which is still, I mean, that's one of my favorite parts, but I also really wish we could have just sat there and soaked in how dark and how bad that Ceres's. You just don't get any time to soak in the world that you're getting into. And this will flow into how dark the story is supposed to be. But we'll start with the editing factor of it should have been 2 books. 2 solid 400-page books could have really let the reader ease themselves into the world. Could really make it a nice slow burn romance. And just build on the characters. Which is another problem I have in this story. Is like, I hate saying like, that's a pet peeve of mine. But anyway. The characters are just written only so-so. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever read by far, but in 600 pages, you don't get a great, or you get a very good grasp of who these characters are, but not because you've walked in their shoes. You get a grasp of these characters because they out and out tell you who they are, what they feel, everything. Like, I kid you not, in the first 15 pages, we dang near know everything, including Ceres's, which is the main character, including her cup size. She doesn't out and out say it, but I'm sorry, she practically says it. And I ain't no prude. I write paranormal romance, but I'm also over here going, oh my gosh, girl. Chill out. We don't need to know that you're tall and you're beautiful and you have big tits and all this other shit and you're wanted by everyone for various reasons. You're also like a master thief and you're just so dang great. And I'm like, girl, you're a Mary Sue is what you are. Because she's great at everything. She's so smart. She gets, guys, I kid you not, she gets whipped. Or not whipped, but she gets crap beat out of her in the first 5 minutes. And she still climbs a 40-foot wall. And she still does all this running. And then she has to go off and be a badass and get drunk and deal with all this other shit. And she's still, at the end of the day, after dehydration, which remember, in this place, water is rationed by the ounce. In the end of it all, she's over here lecturing the guard on how absolutely terrible and awful and horrible he is, and how brainwashed, and how, the queen is not, killing the lower ward. She is forging a bunch of weapons. And I'm just over here going, listen, guys, I get it. It's fantasy. But it is completely breaking my suspension of disbelief to sit here and go, she's beat, she's drunk, she's starving, you can see her ribs. And then she kills 3 guys who are fully armed, got armor, well fed, ain't known a day of hardship in their life, but also went through really rigorous training to get where they are. And I'm like, that's just not believable. She does a better job with Fisher, honestly. Although she's also the author's going for this idea that he's this older guy who's seen war and been tortured and all this other stuff, really dark stuff. And yet you read him and he does just sound spoiled. I mean, yeah, he sacrifices a lot and he's been through a lot and it kind of shows. But listen, I've been around combat vets and that ain't how this works. It just really ain't. And I know it's fantasy. And I know that not every girl wants to sit there and read what, war actually does to people. But if you're going to build this as a dark romantasy, stick with the dark. I mean, I really just wish they would have ground into how bad the world is and how bad war-torn the Fae realm is and how evil the vampires are and whatnot. Because if she would have leaned hard into that, you could have had some really good dark to work with without it getting like super depressing. I mean, it can get dark. But that's the thing is Callie just don't lean into that really well. Hamburger pickles. Anyway, which I guess leads into part 2, which is why it's only a 2 out of 5 on the darkness scale, because it's like, yeah, there's the opportunity there. It could have been darker, but to be quite frank, it isn't. I mean, it's, yeah, there's war, yeah, there's suffering. I mean, technically, Saris gets hurt, real early on, but there's no lasting consequences of it. Nothing really has a lasting consequence in this book. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, I think at worst, well, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. Y'all might want to read this, but suffice to say, if you're looking for a really dark story, this is not it. And honestly, I think Tolkien gets darker than this lady does. Which, honestly, I want to get into something else before I forget about it, because I will get to babbling on over here and forget to tell y'all a lot of stuff, and then I'll do a lot of editing, and next thing you know, it's a headache for all involved, and this is my first time doing something like this, so I'll just tell you while I'm remembering, and if you don't like it, just leave a comment, let me know what I'm doing wrong, and I might reply to you, I might just ignore you, one of the two. But anywho's, and my next biggest issue is the fact that our main gal is not the most interesting person in the story. Neither is her love interest. I kid you not, the lecherous ex-boyfriend over here has got to be the most interesting character. Mostly, and this is a spoiler here, so you might want to skip the next little bit. But anyway, mostly because if it wasn't for him, nothing would get accomplished. I mean, I kid you not, this side character is the entire reason that she knows how to work her magic, that she was able to get to the second realm to get a hold of her boyfriend. And literally, he was the deus ex machina at the ending, where he just, oh, conveniently happens to have poisonous blood or whatever, or cursed blood, to weaken the big bad guy, so later on she can kill him. And I'm like, listen here, and I mean, his story, his name's Carrion, and I know a lot of people get all bent out of shape about that, meaning, dead animals and whatnot. But I'm just sitting here going, listen, guys, skip the girl. I'd rather read a story about how he's, because apparently in spoilers said this is the Lost Prince. But I'm just sitting here going, I'd like to read a story about how he was raised in the slums with the Earthlings, the humans, and is in fact a secret Fae prince who was, disguised when he was tossed through this magical portal and somehow didn't go crazy. I didn't quite get that. But either way, it's like, oh yeah, he's the missing king, he's the missing prince, he's got all this ability and whatnot, and he's the only one able to weaken the vampires and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. I want to read about him and frickin' Fisher over here, who did a hard time for trying to save a bunch of people. I'd like to read how they team up together and go kill some vampires. I mean, because that would be fun. There can be romance, but just, and I'm all for, girl boss, whatever. Problem with Sarah is she's just too damn Mary Sue for her own good, and I just don't find her all that interesting. Which I guess rolls into why the romance ain't all that good, because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, goody for you, you're 24, but you act 16. She can fight the not night crawlers, I think they're called crawlers, which are the vampire underlings. If you get bit by a vampire, you get turned into one of those. And they're like bloodthirsty and scary. And I mean, dadgummit, if Hart would have leaned into that, I mean, they're kind of freaky. I mean, if you've seen the Wendigos, I think it is from not Dusk Till Dawn, but the one where the monsters attack you overnight. They made a movie about it. I ain't a video game player, but anyway, there's some freaky sounding little monsters. I'm like, this is cool. They can kill you with a scratch. I'm like, let's lean into that, but nah, we don't, and it's just, eh. Anyway, but back to the point is Ceres apparently can fight them off and kill them and all that other stuff because she was trained in the attic, in a attic anyway, by some of her mom's clients or whatever. Her mom's was a whore. Anyway, but she can do all that stuff and is able to impress and even on some level do better than the 7-foot tall, hyper muscular guy who's for the past, 1,000 some odd years has been doing all this work and fighting, and definitely fighting hard for the last 100 years. And I'm just sitting over here going, golly, can she just go back to the forge? I'm cool that she's a blacksmith. I'm cool that she knows all that stuff. That's an interesting thing. But I wish she would have just, stuck over there. And I kid you not, Callie had to go through and make it so Carrion over there, the guy who literally, this is his kingdom, he just hasn't told anyone yet. She made it so he slept through the entire fight, because I know if he'd shown up, that thing would have been done and over with in a heartbeat. And listen, I know I'm probably not doing it a whole heck of a lot of justice, and I know I'm rambling. But dadgum, I mean, if this book could have just been edited a little bit better, we would have had, I think, a much more interesting story. And that's why I have a hard time recommending it, is the bones there. The foundation is there for a very good story. But it's just so much crap to wade through, and I ain't even got to the romance. And I hate to say it, the romance is dadgum forgettable. If you've read one enemies to lovers, except for they ain't really enemies, that she's just annoyed by him. If you've read one annoyance to lovers, and then you've read this story, I mean, yeah, there's some shadows going on and whatnot, which is all well and cute and whatnot, but if you've read one, you've read this. So I don't even feel like getting too much into the romance aspect, because it ain't bad. It just ain't real good either. And I'm just sitting here going, I want to recommend this book. I really do. And, if the second book comes out and it's edited better and it's got a little bit more, more work done for it, then I might recommend the series if you just understand the first one's rough. But if the second one comes out and it ain't any better, then I really just wouldn't bother with this. And that's the main point. So if y'all want to sign off now, you can. If you want to hear me ramble on about writing styles, you can continue. Because that was one of my biggest pet peeves is, so y'all are familiar with the Emperor's New Groove and whatnot, where Cusco pauses the tape to go, oh, hey, remember it's all about me? Well, I kid you not, this girl, she does that too. I mean, not literally pauses it, but you'll be reading along, everything will be honky-dory, and next thing you know, full stop to the storyline, and, oh yeah, hey, I'm still here, and by the way, my backstory is tragic and all this other stuff, but we're gonna totally have forgotten about the fact that she was starved about 3 days ago. Or yeah, I guess technically she was unconscious for 10, but the food the Fae has must be pretty damn good if she went from pretty well starved down to bones to healthy, happy, and able to traipse around. But I mean, I did not like the asides. I did not like the first person. And I'll admit that's just personal preference. I ain't never really been into first person, but I'm just sitting here going, man, this could have been done really well in third. The first person, you get really all of her information shoved straight down your throat. You don't have to infer anything. And I find that just more than a little bit annoying, as I'd love to actually infer and learn something about my character, not just go, oh yeah, I'm 6'1" with black hair, dark eyes, or blue eyes, I think she's got, and I'm sexy, I'm this, I'm that, and I have a tendency to get drunk and sleep with the hot, sexy other thief guy, even though I know it's a bad idea. Which, golly, that is the biggest problem with Quicksilver that I've got. And it gets better after the first 75 pages or so. But man, that first bit is cringy. So if you want a good book that will send you underneath the covers just to go, then sure, get this one, because I mean, I don't even know what to say. There's a lot of girl power in that first bit, the real annoying kind, and it is rough. It is very, very rough. And I think that's where they need to plumb pick it up and continue on with the next book, is just trim off a lot of that. Get rid of not all the girl boss, and you can be, self-assured, but I wouldn't include that next time. I found it really distracting. Which leads to my next part. So during this whole intro, you've got Sarah's over here worrying about her baby brother and this, that, and the other, and you feel bad for him, and she's having to find places for them to hide and sleep at night, and food, clothing, shelter, all that good stuff, and she's doing everything, all this thieving, to make sure he gets a better life, which is all noble and whatnot, until you realize this guy's 20. I mean, and let that sink in. This guy's old enough to be doing his own thing and earning his own money, but he instead chooses to gamble it all away, and is arguably the secondary reason this entire shitstorm starts. Is he just, instead of, he shouldn't have been gambling in the first place. Basically, he loses his scarf, which you kind of need to travel around this area, or else you get sand in the lungs and whatnot. But anyway, he's like the secondary reason. She's the one that actually stole the gauntlet. Don't get me wrong. It is a good bit her fault. But he, on the other hand, he couldn't just sit outside the bar for 5 minutes while she straightened shit out and got their money back. And instead, he went off to go, I don't know if it was get drinks or whatever. I won't lie at this point. I'm too busy cringing and dying inside about how she's so hot, she's so sexy and whatnot. I kind of skimmed that part. But basically, he went off and got himself into mischief, which is how she got herself arrested. She had a chance. She had a chance not to get arrested, but he went off and did dumb things. Which, bless Carrion's heart over here. He's once again comes in and fixes that problem later on. But I ain't going to spoil it for you. But I'm like, guys, he's 20. If the author had chosen to make him 8, and you really lean, because that's our whole motivation through this thing is, guys, I gotta get back home, gotta help my brother and all that, and you then find out that he's 20, and I'm like, if you could have just said he was 8, the story wouldn't have changed. You could have said he got caught and in trouble for doing XYZ things, or the bully stole his scarf and she could have gone and dealt with that. And it would have really pushed hard, I've got to get home, and given a lot of weight to the story. But then knowing that the guy's 20, I'm sorry, it just removes all weight for me. But then again, his sister's 24, and I think she acts, 17, 18. And then Fisher over here is, he's 1,033, but effectively he's 33. All the elves, if you just subtract 1,000 years, it's their age. And he honestly acts more like a 22 to 25-ish, I can't keep track of who all is how old, but it fundamentally, that really should have been fixed. And I get it, I've probably rambled on here more than you want to do, and if you don't like the accent, sorry, I can't help it. But that there's Kingfisher. That's my main thoughts on the subject is, man, it could have been good. I wanted it to be good. It just wasn't that good, so I'd save yourself about $20 and go check it out at the library, or hit up on, if you want to support the author and all that, you might have it up on Kindle or something. But don't. That's just my opinion. Y'all do what you want. I will say, y'all are familiar with. I don't know if this will show up on camera. The library's got it covered, but that's the normal. But they have come out with a new edition that's I think it's hardback. Saw it at Walmart the other day, and I won't lie, it's kind of like they took everyone was ragging on this cover and decided to go the complete opposite direction. Not strictly for the best. It's just it's pretty much a black cover with I think it's like gold or silver lettering on the front. My big issue at this point is you went from a very busy cover to a not busy cover, but the author's name and the title is in the same type, same font size, same letter style. It really blends all together, and then you got like a snowflake or something on it. I will say, though, the better thing is the map on the inside cover does look better in the newer copy. And I'm a sucker for gilt edged. It's got a silver edges and some good artwork of the characters on the inside. I did like that a lot about it. I will say the only other thing, and then I really probably ought to sign off and whatnot, but the only other thing is at the beginning of the book you have a warning. Basically commit everything you read here to Hart or something like that. And monsters strive best in the dark and whatnot. Commit everything to memory. Well, the problem that I ran into is you get that, you open up the book, and you're just like, wow, this is going to be a real dark, real good story, which I know circles back to my how dark it is comment earlier and how that doesn't really fit the tone. But you find out later on that that's actually a warning in one of Carrion's book that his mama gave him, or that he was sent over to the other side with, and I'm just like, this does not have any bearing to the story at all. You don't even find out what that's from until, I think, like the last chapter or two. And I'm just sitting over here going, false advertising, man. That don't have nothing to do with this. Anyway, that's about it for tonight. That's Quicksilver. If you want a heavy doorstop of a book that's easy to read and you don't mind cringing a bit, go ahead and pick it up and give it a shot. If not, I'm sure there's other fantasies that you'd rather read. This is my first romantasy book, and I'm kind of hoping that the others are a touch higher quality than this. But follow me, because I've got a couple more going to come out here in the next few weeks that I'm going to give a dive into, and it's going to be interesting one way or another. Catch you next time.